Okay, NXT. Now, before we get started, a couple of things. Oh, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm actually in a little bit of pain today, guys. Let me give it to you like this, a little bit of housekeeping. Cleaning. You never know what you're gonna get on my damn reviews. I'm always botching. If you guys have never seen me, hiya, I botch. If you've never seen a guy botch like crazy on a video review before, you're going to have an excellent time because I'm probably going to botch my ass off. But this is what you guys are getting for the rest of the week. You're getting NXT review. If I can, I'm going to try and see NWA Power tomorrow. I think. I can't guarantee you. I'm not going to lie to you. I can't guarantee. But I'm going to try and do a NWA Power review. Then I will do my Dynamite review. But when it comes to Impact Wrestling, and this is supposed to be Throwback Tuesday and the Impact Provisional Wrestling Federation, I believe that's what it's called. I always tend to forget. I might not be able to do it due to the fact I'll be visiting relatives like most people. If I can get back in time to see it, I will review it. If not, you will see it Friday. And I will probably do what I normally do, a SmackDown and a Rampage if I can. That's what you guys are going to get. Now, what did we get in this show? Not a lot. You didn't get a lot. I know they're building in the deadline, which is supposed to be December 10th. So we are building into it. We have a couple of weeks to go. But this didn't really have a lot in it. Now, was the Toxic Attraction... Excuse me. Was the Toxic Attraction a good segment? Yeah, but it felt like Raw. Now, of course, we already know that NXT is acting like Raw, but this is what you normally get. But it felt a lot more like old Raw than anything else. So it wasn't a bad segment, but it wasn't something I was really interested in. Yes, Mandy Rose made it very clear that she beat Abba Fire, and now she's dealing with, what is the girl's name? Island Dawn. And she's dealing with her. And they did do a vid pack on that, which was quite interesting. Seeing that this is a Wickham. And if you never heard what the word Wickham means, I'm going to tell you right now. Ow. Ooh, a little pain. Wickhams are modern day, or more kind of a throwback of witches. They follow paganism. They follow more of nature. They follow more of, how would you say, neo-paganism, where pretty much someone follows a more ancient way of how they see the world. Like if they see chakra, if they show the learning tree or the tree of life. Now you're wondering, what the hell just descended here? How the hell you know that? Unfortunately, my ex-wife was trying to become one. Yeah. Grew up in a Jehovah's Witness home. Her mother became a Islamic, and she decided to try and do Wiccan. I think she might not be a Catholic. I don't know. This is the type of life that I dealt with. But she feels like she is a Wiccan, someone who follows the older traditional religion of how Celts used to be from the European section of, well, Celts are pretty much British, Irish, Scottish Celts. So that's what she feels like. A lot about like Abba Fire. It's the same thing about Island Dawn. But that's what we're getting. Now, going back into the ring, and I know you're going to be saying, thank goodness, why do I have to hear this weirdness? But if you want a really well-rounded review, one that kind of gives you a little bit more of what makes pro wrestling special, throwing a little bit of witch stuff into it, and she looks like she's trying to go with it, we now go back into the ring, and after they do mention Abba Fire dealing with Island Dawn, you see the tag champs coming out, and they're pretty much saying, hey, you guys think you're so good. You know that the only reason you don't have those damn titles is because you had to protect Mandy so much. And you know what? When that belt is off her waist, you're not going to give a damn anymore about Mandy, because as long as she's holding that title, you're relevant. And pretty much those two did not take it very well. They got mad. Gigi got pissed as hell. Gigi Golan was so angry, said, how the hell do you think getting off with that? We made you relevant because before us, you guys didn't have anything. But when we get those titles back, you can go back to being irrelevant. And then there's a fight. It was pretty much a paint by the numbers of old Raw. Guys, I'm sorry. This isn't what when we saw NXT before Raw changed over to the Paul Levesque Raw. That was what you got. Now, we got Cora Jade versus Wendy Chu. What was this all about? To be honest, is it about Cora Jade trying to get over, showing that she's the next generation that is truly going to make the future of the WWE in general? Or was it more about Wendy and how she's always been the quirky, strange girl or misunderstood misfit girl that went through high school and was treated badly? How do you think I know about that? I was always the weird one. But when it comes down to it, now you're wondering about, wait a minute, you just said you're the weird one. Well, now we understand why this guy's always so strange. Yeah, that's why I'm so different. You're welcome. But Wendy loses due to the fact her own devices got her pretty much. Once Cora Jade knew she was having a problem with her, she tried to take a candlestick, didn't work. And then once she realized she can use the candlestick, she took the juice that Wendy normally would use, drink, and then pretty much splashed her in the damn face with it, and she managed to DDT her, and in the end, she won. And you could see Wendy all wet. One of her eyelashes is stuck to her eye right here, and she's blubbering, and she's crying. And what does this really mean? Guys, this is a major problem for me personally. Are they trying to focus on Cora Jade? Are they trying to focus on Wendy? Are they trying to make Wendy something more than just a quirky girl that sleeps in the back, carrying a pillow, trying to look cutesy, can wrestle, but then in this situation want to make it more serious because of how she was treated in high school? Or are you trying to make this about Cora Jade, who is showing that she feels to be the next generation, that she's going to take whatever is hers. She's going to be rough, she's going to be tough, and she's not trying to be an AJ Lee. Because let's be honest, Cora Jade reminds you of AJ Lee. She has the same type of look. She's about the same build as AJ Lee. She has the same type of perkiness, at least until she switched. But then when she switched into something bad, it's still kind of what's going on with AJ Lee before she finally left the company. So she kind of is in that cookie cutter of the AJ Lee, and she's trying to be something else. But if you're focused too much about, well, who is more important here? I'm just saying. All right, Kedia James versus Ivy Nile. Now, I don't really think that much about Ivy Nile. Not because I don't think she could be a good wrestler. It's just they don't really show that much of her on NXT. It's always about the Creeds. It's always been about the Creeds. Very little time we've seen Ivy fight. And then we see Kian. I think that's her name. Kian. And we've seen more of her, particularly when it came to Hendry. What is the girl's name? Hendren or Henley. There you go. Henley. Fowler Henry. I always forget her name when it comes to Briggs and I always keep forgetting her name. I understand they were trying to do a little segment with her selling a bar, but Henley just didn't feel like much. Now, the match was fine-ish until Henley came out to distract, and then you see that James lost. But is this really good TV? Is it still going to be about the trying to sell that bar, or is it just going to be a grudge that she just lost her match because she pissed her off because she couldn't buy the bar? I don't know. I'm just saying. You guys tell me below. I'm not that it could be bad. It's just there's just not enough of it. They need to show more of the bar and showing Henley tending the bar. Having Briggs and Jensen together at the bar again. They got to do more of that segment before we really feel like it's something important. Now, what did we get from Charlie Dempsey? A very interesting vid pack, which I liked. When you look at Island Dawn, her vid pack was good. Wasn't great, but it was good. You look at Dempsey, it's actually very good because he's trying to be more of an old school 70s and 80s wrestler, trying to show that old style wrestling is way more better than the current flashy one. That's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's good to see that you have this in NXT. Yes, we get a lot of high flyers, but we need someone that's an older style wrestler, kind of like FTR, that they want more of the older styles of Lou Fez, Winkbacher, of when it came to Austin Idol, yes, of NWA fame, of Jesse the Body Ventura. Oh, well, take away from those guys who like to be flashy. More of the Lou Fez or Bob Backlund, who is one of the first people I ever saw in wrestling. One of the first. I don't really remember much Bruno San Martino, but I remember Bob Backlund. I do. So I see him as the first person I ever saw. So seeing him and Dempsey wanting to be more like him, no nonsense, no playing around, just go do it and end and leave, that's a good thing. Now, let's see what we got here. We got, what did I feel about the Breaker the Fisherman? Ow. What did I feel about Breaker the Fisherman? At least it was a more better side of him. The only other time we saw a more better side of him when you saw a table for three, when his dad was there and his uncle Scott was there. Here, he's saying, look, when it comes to Braun Breaker, when I'm working down there, but when I'm here on the lake, I'm not Braun. I'm just an ordinary guy fishing because I still love that life. I love having the title. I love showing who I am. But as dominant as I've been and excited and enjoying it, it does get you. The pressure gets you, plays on you. And after just a little while, you get a little tired. So I come here to basically chill. And I get all that I feel out and feel something great. And seeing that side of him is actually a good thing. We needed more of a personality for Braun. Braun being a Steiner doesn't mean a damn thing. It doesn't. They needed to humanize him in some way. Yes, he's still got to show that he can't be destroyed, that he's invincible, but that has to show that sometimes he needs this. And also, and this is important, for the future of Braun Breaker, when either he's still in NXT or he goes to the main roster, they can play off of this because the only thing I have to do is just use that video of him going to the lake or any river anywhere, and they can replay it again to show that he does have a weakness. He has to have one. Sooner or later when he goes to the main roster. I said again. Roster. Sorry. But when he goes to the main roster, they're going to carry what he's gone through NXT forward. Unlike how Vince would just basically dump it and just restart him from scratch. Or just act like he starts from there and there was never anything there. Just whatever he created and they never mention it again. So we will get a carryover. And that little piece of information can be carried over years later. It doesn't make a difference. They can pull it out of the archive and they can stick it into a storyline where suppose he's going to go on vacation or he goes fishing and they just got to show that one snippet and that will help him. Now, what did we get from Scripps? Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying that Scripps is this guy. I haven't seen him in a long time, so I can't tell if it's him. And it probably isn't him. But you know who Scripps looks like to me? ACH. I'm not saying he's ACH. He just reminds me of ACH. If he is, then it makes perfect sense because ACH, as a wrestler that can really high fly and do a lot of moves, that's him. That can easily be an ACH. And since he left the company years ago, I'm not telling you that that is him, but he reminds me of him. Now, if it was him, that makes sense why I recognize his moves and his look. Wearing a mask pretty much gives him a mysterious wondering of who the hell is he. But we know for a fact that sooner or later, this guy's going to lose his mask. If you're seeing eyes and a face, generally speaking, they're going to dump that mask eventually. He will dump that mask because he has dealt with NXT before. Now, if it is ACH, this will be like a full circle for him since he left the company and said it was racist and made himself look like an idiot while doing it. coming back here and restarting again, maybe not being such a pain in the ass, and maybe not that WWE will be a pain in the ass at him, so he will become a pain in the ass and make himself look like an idiot later. Maybe it'll balance out this time around, because it was both of them, WWE and ACH, that acted stupid. Both of them did. Flat out. WWE was very stupid first, and then ACH, when he left, acted even more stupid afterward. Made him look like an idiot. I'm just saying. Now, so Rika versus the Destroyer, Zoe Starks. Did it last long? Not that long. Was it a good match? I gotta say it like this. When it comes to Saurika, I don't hate her. She's a very good gymnast. I think she was a D3 gymnast, I believe. She's incredibly talented as a gymnast. But she has not understood how to incorporate her gymnastics into wrestling yet. She's still doing too much gymnastics. If she wants to be a high flyer, there's no problem with it. But you got to balance high flying while looking like you're wrestling. We don't want you to look so awkward where you have to reset yourself every single time when you do your move. She does too many moves, which is hurting her wrestling ability. It's hurting it. She should focus on the wrestling more first and then slowly incorporate her gymnastics into it. Unfortunately, she's not doing that. So that's the reason why she looks awkward to me. In the end, she gets beaten by Starks, which she was about to get her head smashed in until Nikita Lyons came out. I was not surprised Nikita was coming out. Now, mind you, I like Nikita. She's cute as hell. Be my wife. But does this mean the story between the two is going to be a good one? It's going to depend how they're going to book this sucker, because deadline's coming in about 2 weeks or so. I'm sure they're going to have a match by there. But do I believe they're going to make it a good match? I don't know. It's going to depend on how the story is. Now, Chase U, Andre Chase, with a Duke Hudson versus the... how did it get this? How? Just because once Grayson Waller, he spoke to Duke Hudson saying, dude, what are you doing? When are you going to start showing your real colors again? He said, no, I'm bleeding Chase U. And then Pretty Deadly messed with him, and then he started fighting where, very weirdly enough, all the members of Chase U, a few women and a lot of men are with him, and it's only him fighting. That just looked really awkward. It should have been maybe one or two people. Why all of them? And they don't even help him. That looked really awkward to me. Not saying it's the wrong thing, it just looked awkward. And then he goes to Angelo Chase and says, hey, we got it. We got a match. And then they have the match. And the way it went, it looked like, and it was Booker T, I believe, who was saying it. That, hey, why is this guy feeling funny? Because, look, twice now, he was supposed to tag in and he didn't. First, there was something that happened, then I'm not even going to tell you. You know who you saw. You know her. She's nice, but she's like... she makes me forget her name, so that's why. But essentially, Duke kept getting off the ring skirt for some reason or another. But then when he got into the ring, instead of just finishing him off, he tags in Angelo, who's still stunned. And he's not ready. And he tries, and then he gets laid out by Duke. And then they lose their chance. But then you see Angelo looking like he's beginning to burn a hole through Duke. Like he's not trusting him now. And that's where it gets interesting. For me personally, I know not everyone likes Chase U. I'm sure not everyone does. But seeing Chase U is a little more interesting than most. It's not a faction per se. It's not. Because you got a whole bunch of people who really don't do anything but cheer. And then you got one woman and maybe one guy with, and I believe, Angelo Chase. Or Anthony Chase. I think it's not Angelo, it's Anthony. So either way, it's not really a faction. But it is interesting to see that he's trying to motivate others and seeing where this is going to go. Honestly, I don't know if this is really great, but I think it's interesting. Finally, Wesley versus Carmelo Hayes, one-on-one. Now, Wes managed to trick Trick Williams. The guy's got a name Trick in his name, and he got tricked into not going outside and standing at the ring because he's trying to convince Trick, hey, your boy is going to lose. He says, no, he's not. He's going to win. I'm going to be there. He says, oh, so he does need you to win. He says, no, he'll never need me. So then you're not going to be there. And having Mackenzie there is kind of like saying, well, bosses, he don't want to be there, leave him out. So pretty much Carmelo comes out and they have a very good match. Both of them are evenly matched. Like I said, I'm not a high-flying fan. Sometimes I am. It counts on how the story is and if they combine strategy with ground wrestling. If you have at least a little bit of everything, it's a better match. Way better. But in the end, these two are very similar. And understand, this is hard for me because I really think Carmelo is a good wrestler for what he is as high flyer. But when I think of Desmond Xavier, when he was called that in Impact Wrestling, I knew that he could become something great. He was very talented as a high flyer. But now he's met someone that is as talented as him. And that brought him from here. And Carmelo, who was here, instead of them being high, they're now average. Because you don't always stick the same kind of style wrestler together who almost is exactly the same unless it's going to be something special. Now, mind you, yes, it's for the North American title, but wouldn't it have been better to set this up at Deadline where they, instead of being here as average, here. This is where they should be. This should have happened at Deadline, but it didn't. And that's what brings them both down because this doesn't feel as special as it should be. Because this is an average NXT show instead of a Deadline match that is for the North American title that could close the show if it's not going to be Braun Breaker. And I don't remember who he's going up against. I don't think he's got a challenger yet. And no, I think he's going after Apollo Crews. He did have a segment, but I wasn't paying that much attention to it. I am in a little bit of pain right now. But I think he's going to have that match going at Deadline. But in the end, Wes wins, which is great. There's nothing wrong with it. But I felt it could have been better at a pay-per-view. It should have been a Deadline. This is where both these guys who feel like they're here, both of them are very good high-flying wrestlers that are here. But putting them at the end of a regular NXT video, well, not video, but episode, and bring them down right here. This is where they are. Not because they're average wrestlers. It's because the stakes were not really special. It was not at a pay-per-view. So it's been brought down to here. So was this a special show? No. Was this an average show? It was okay. It had other stuff in it. And I know I didn't say anything about the Creeds challenging Singh and Tier. I know. But I'm leaving it out because I'm wondering if they're going to have a match at Deadline. If they're not, what are they setting up for Deadline? Just the Survival Eliminator? That's it? It's got to be more than that. But that's just me. Peace.